Hey guys, what's up? It's Schla coming back to ya with another episode. With the last episode of Walks with Schla for Tuesday, November 18th. And yeah, I think today, I think it was a pretty good day, honestly. The day is basically over. Not here for too much longer. So really we'll have to see how we're feeling tomorrow, and if we're as long as we're feeling okay tomorrow, I think it's going to be a pretty good week. I think that's going to be my consensus of things. Yeah, I always think about other people and what they think I'm doing. I really wonder what people think of me being out here and talking into this big guy. I just wonder about that. I wonder what people are judging me about. A lot of people don't. I think the truth is a lot of people are less judgmental than me. I mean, I don't know. I don't try to be judgmental, but I just like notice stuff and I make judgment. But it's just like a thing. Like it's not like I really try to do anything. I'm just very observant, but it's kind of no good. A lot of the time it can be a no good deal. It can be a bad deal. And yeah, I don't know. Something I've tried to reel in, but I think with extra judgment comes intelligence potentially, but not always. I mean, sometimes you could judge something and be very judgmental about things that aren't really objective or don't really matter that much. And then I feel like you can make the argument well, I mean, what's that? You know what I mean? Well, what good is that if you're hyper judgmental about judging people and beating down on people over things that don't matter? I think that's a huge thing, though. We've probably talked about this before. I know we have, but it's people's inability to distinguish what actually matters from what doesn't. I mean, some people, they say nothing matters, and that's kind of like a nihilistic belief or whatever, but that's just not true. I mean, there's definitely a spectrum of how much certain things matter and how much other things don't. I mean, I feel like that's just the truth. So, figuring that out, it obviously takes some kind of intellect and ability to quantify and compare things. I feel like I say this a lot. I feel like it's one of the common denominators of most of these discussions is just that, thinking about, other humans, and usually it's a relatively poor capability of quantification and comparison, but it's most likely accurate. I mean, a lot of people, I feel like if they hear something negative said towards them or about them, there's an immediate gut response to be defensive and to not analyze any truth from it or any potential truth from it. It's just that gut defensive, and that's really how humans operate. It's really how humans move, just that gut thing going on. And I think that's definitely, I mean, it's a huge thing, because it's why I think, I mean, a lot of people don't care, and I think people say that, but I actually think there's a difference between not caring and then not having the comprehension. And I think a lot of people also don't have the comprehension. A lot of people really can't attribute numerical values to qualitative things very easily. A lot of people basically live in a qualitative world most of the time, and so you can't really gauge. Then they're just going to see some things as being mean when it's not mean, it might be truthful. And then people might just not believe stuff. But that doesn't really have to do with care, you know? I think it's possible because, I mean, people say that they don't care, but I actually think it has to do with just cognizance of things, you know? Because, like, somebody can say they don't care about health, but then it's different when they actually have to deal with the consequences of their actions. You know what I mean? Like, people, they usually change up pretty fast when they actually have to deal with the consequences. Not everybody, though, I guess. I guess there are some people who don't, but it's usually like people don't know. Like, I think it's honestly ignorance that is the primary driving force. Just my honest opinion about it. It's like, it's ignorance. It's not, because it's not that people don't care, it's that people don't know. It's that people oftentimes are not really aware of the consequences of the behaviors they partake in. And if they really did, and if it was really quantified, they might not do it. And that's why I talk about one of the greatest things about technology and AI is it's able to very easily and potentially someday accurately give us like a score for these various different metrics. And that's obviously going to be vital to humans, where for the most part humans, it's incredibly draining or impossible to quantify things accurately. And that's even with care. I mean, a lot of people don't care, but I think people would care if their comprehension was there. Like, I don't know. I mean, all this is a bunch of me just like guessing stuff right now, so it could be off, but I just think that, like, if people's cognition was higher, then their care would also be higher about things that they could actually conceive and comprehend. Like, I can't really see how it's just people not caring. A lot of times it's like people never think of things, or people can't really understand things well, and then no duh, they can't comprehend or understand it, and then somebody like teaches them, they're not going to care. Like, they're not going to care just because somebody else told them, because honestly, somebody can teach you something and you can hear it and like listen to it, but you're still likely not really going to care that much, especially if you didn't think of it yourself. Like, I feel like that's kind of how it goes. That's actually something my dad used to tell me a lot. Like, he always told me, like, he believed that, you know, people really only listen to something if they come up with it themselves. Like, they're not really going to listen to it if you tell them. And I think that's actually, like, fairly true. And that's kind of the thing between a taught belief and, like, a lived experience. Like, those are two very, very different things. And so that's kind of the point. You know, it's like if somebody is unhealthy, but it's in a way where it's not super obvious or tangible, they're not really going to do anything about it. Like, they just don't really care, even though a couple years down the line now there could be some permanent condition. A lot of people go into denial. And again, I don't really know is it really a care issue or a cognition issue? I think people like to write it off as a care thing because they don't want to have to admit a hierarchical intellect for humans. Like, that's what I think happens. It's like people, they want to believe that everybody's relatively equal, and it's just like, well, you know, if you tried hard enough, if you just tried hard enough, or if you cared more, you'd be able to, you know, you'd be able to do anything. You just put your mind to it. But that's just not true. You know, like, we know that's not true. Even if willpower is real, we know that it's going to be subjective based on the individual. And somebody who has low willpower and hears those beliefs, it's not going to change them. Different experiences might sort of kick a person into gear. But at the end of the day, like, willpower is a variable quality of a human, just like everything else. And so, no, like, not everybody can achieve their dreams. It's a pretty small percentage. But you have to create a society that does empower that. And that's why I talk about a risk-free society or a guaranteed outcome society, which means, if you work, you have pretty thick insurances in place to know that you're going to be okay, and that the risk is largely taken out of life. It's what I keep talking about. It's 2025. We should have these things in place by now, and we don't. And I think it's insane that, like, elders have told me stuff like, oh, well, nothing in life's guaranteed. You still got to try. Like, no, I really don't, actually. That makes, like, absolutely no sense. I would not work, and even now, like, I wouldn't be working if there wasn't some kind of reward or, like, promise at the end of the tunnel. And I mean, either way, I think, because in my case, I probably would be. I don't know, like, I often think I probably shouldn't be working because I have so much mental activity that it's like, I really should be doing in some kind of other occupation, but I don't have, like, a following at this point. So I don't really think about it too much, and I'm pretty okay and content with where I'm at in life right now. So it's just kind of like, I just kind of shrug it off, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it's like, that is a big part of it, right? It's a big part of it. Sorry, I just totally lost my... Oh yeah, like, and it's unfair for people to say that, where, that was like a whole generation that you did have a light at the end of the tunnel. You were told retirement was what you get at the end of it. I was told that when I was a child. And it's a bunch of things that were lies because people couldn't do math right and realize, like, we're not having enough of a population growth to actually maintain these things, or the correct political policies and regulations aren't going in place for us to be retired. We just kind of assumed it's something that was possible, and people were so slow, and I think there's still people now who are just very slow to even understand, like, they will not retire. They will not. Period. They're not going to retire, And a lot of people, they just don't understand that. They don't really get it. And it's just like, wow, I don't know. People are going to be in for it. That's for sure. But I think that's why people say that. People say they don't care, but a lot of times people don't care because, like, they care is another factor that is not... It's not that some people don't care. Everybody cares. They just care about different things, and they might have different mental capabilities of showing it. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody can show care to the same degree as well. Some people are better at showing it. On the other hand, you have some people who could actually care less than another person, but be better at showing it. And those are the type of people who can be fairly skilled at manipulating, because, you might not actually care that much at all, but it's easy for you to show it, and those people typically go further in life than somebody might care, like, a lot. Somebody might care deeper and stronger than anybody else, but because they can't show it or display it in a easy to comprehend, assimilated cultural format that matches their immediate friends and family, and to a larger extent their society and culture that they're from, then it doesn't matter how deeply they care, because it won't ever be recognized by their society or culture at large and their friends and family around them. So you have that problem, you know. But I think at the end of the day, a lot of it falls on intellect, and with intellect you can either use it for evil or good. But I think it's just inevitable that a good-natured person who's intelligent is going to be able to go further than that, further than a good-natured person who's dumb. Because at the end of the day, a good-natured person who's dumb is going to have poor planning skills and may be able to do generous acts, but is probably not going to be able to architect like a system for generosity. Although really it's not that complicated. I mean, you would think maybe it's just due to propaganda or something, or just like, because there's a lot of that out there, you know, like a lot of people, I guess you could argue in a way that's even what I do to some extent. I mean, somebody could listen to me and take these words as truth, but I don't really mean to come across that way, I guess, because I see this as like an evolving thing. I mean, I could believe and say stuff now that, you know, even just a year down the line I might not agree with anymore. But I think a lot of people, they're attracted to that confidence. They're kind of attracted to the propaganda that people push out there, and really that's what most people do. I mean, most people who talk and who speak and who communicate, they either use it to advance themselves, and that's kind of like the whole reason why they do it, right? Like, it's for some kind of benefit to themselves. It's not really a benefit for a wider, like, people. Some people think that way, probably, but other people, I do think they just do it for money, and they'll say whatever gets them donations or act whatever way to get them attention. And you have a lot of those kind of people now. Makes it difficult for people like me to penetrate, you know, which hopefully would never do any of that stuff, although I'm not gonna act like I'm better. I mean, I would hope I don't, you know. I think when I was a teenager I would have, if I was given fame at that point. So maybe there's a reason why it's taking long, because it's like I said, I mean, if I was given fame as a teenager, that just, I mean, I just would not, it's not like I'd be dumb, but I wouldn't have, I mean, this way of talking that I have and these perspectives, I mean, they come at a result of being given like a very cold hand by society and just kind of being tossed and cast aside and like hung out to dry. Like, it's a very unique amalgamation of experiences that I've been through that have led me here. And it's very possible I could have been famous when I was a teenager, but there wouldn't have been remotely as much clarity, and I ultimately don't know that I would have been as good of a person with it. In all honesty, I think there's a lot of things that it's just caused me so much extra reflecting, and that's just where I'm at now. And so I hope that, again, like 5 years from now, I'll look back at these recordings and say, yeah, wow, like, it's, you know, it's good I made progress from those days, you know, like, I hope to see some kind of forward progression and to not necessarily believe the same things. And that's kind of why I'm saying I hope people don't find this and think, you know. But what I was going to say is my intention with this was money, and I guess it still is. I mean, I would like to be able to do this full time, but I guess really the truth of that will reveal itself, like, if I'm actually good enough for that, because I don't really want to do that if it's not, like, deserved. You know, there's only a certain number of people who probably should have a talk show or whatever, and it's really based on the quality of their work. And I'd like to think I can get there or that I would even be there. But, you know, of course, if it's not meant to be, then somebody else deserves it more, you know. That's just how things go. I mean, I think in the current state, there's probably a lot of people who have podcasts who shouldn't, but it caters to an audience. Now, who is my audience? Like, I don't even know, because I don't know. Like, anytime I talk to people, it's like I haven't really been able to bond with anybody. So I wonder who would even listen to a lot of these like discussions, because it's just could turn into a bunch of arguing or a bunch of like weirder kind of you know, just all over the place kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So I have like no idea. I have no idea what the result is really going to be of this. But I'm saying, like, from the start, when I started this show, the intent was that I was going to put effort into content and be able to make more friends and touch and reach more people, because I was heavily pursuant in private messaging and private calling, and honestly, a lot of the people I would do that with just wouldn't appreciate it that much. And I genuinely think that nowadays more people appreciate a YouTube format. Like, they're not going to appreciate someone caring and being present and being available, because they're not available themselves, and everybody's all a distracted mess. But they can handle a YouTube video that they can pause and play and that they have control over. You see what I'm saying? And so I realized this thing that I was against, because I thought joy was going to come from like a true human experience. I realized I need to pour it into this platform, even though I think it causes bad, just because this is where people are at, and this is how I could potentially touch more people. And that was the original ambition with this. So it's kind of a shame that that really has not materialized even after all these months. You know, it's just been very stagnant. But I don't know. I mean, I'm just like still doing it at this point for myself. I think it's good for me to have an outlet. I mean, it's not a person, but it's at least just, I mean, I'm obviously doing it. Like, I'm not like forcing myself to do it. Like, I obviously enjoy what I do. And so, yeah, I just wonder what's going to, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I would have stopped by now, I think, if I really didn't like this or something, you know? Like, I just would have. So it's obviously been a pretty good thing for me. And yeah, I don't really think there's too much else to really say about it. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's been a good thing. And I still hope that someday it'll end up being how I envisioned it from the start. And there's still plenty of time for that to materialize. But like I said, I mean, I'm still okay with it. So it is what it is. It's been schla, but now it's time to buy schla. So, see ya schla.